All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we're taking a look at something that's, it's pretty simple on the surface, but I think it reveals some interesting stuff if we look below the surface.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a YouTube video that's meant to teach English
Okay.
to beginners,
Mm.
and it's all about different jobs and professions.
Interesting.
You know, things that people do to make a living. And it's amazing what you find when you start looking at this simple little list of jobs through a more critical lens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, just glancing at the video, we see, some of the usual suspects, right? You've got your accountant, your artist, you've got teachers, you've got your waiter, your waitress, kind of the classic jobs that you would expect to see on a list like this.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are a few that kind of jump out at you, like cameraman, for example.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in the age of smartphones and everybody's got a camera in their pocket.
Right.
It does feel a little bit, I don't know, outdated maybe.
It does make you think about how these roles have evolved, right? I mean, the idea of a cameraman might seem a bit old school now, but the basic function they serve, capturing visuals, that's more important than ever.
Totally.
It's just the tools and the platforms that have changed.
Right. Like, we don't necessarily need a dedicated person with a big, bulky camera to film something anymore. But the role itself, the need for someone to create those images hasn't gone away.
Not at all. It's just transformed.
It's just morphed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting how this simple list kind of reflects these bigger changes that are happening in society. Another thing that jumped out at me was just the sheer number of service sector jobs.
Oh, yeah.
That are on this list. I mean, we got the sales assistant, we've got waiter.
Waitress.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you realize how much our economy has shifted towards that sector.
It really highlights that global trend, right? The service sector has just exploded in recent decades. And it makes you think about what that means for the future of work.
Yeah.
Like, what skills are going to be most valuable?
Ooh, the future of work. Now, that's a whole other deep dive.
Right, exactly.
But sticking with this list for now, one thing I found interesting was the language itself.
Okay.
Like, there are a lot of terms that feel very, I don't know, rooted in traditional gender roles.
I see what you mean. Yes.
Like businessman, for instance, or police officer.
Yeah.
It feels like there's this assumption baked in that these are roles typically filled by men.
It definitely reflects the time period when these terms became common.
Right.
But thankfully, our understanding of gender has evolved and language is slowly catching up. I think it's a good reminder that even simple word choices can carry cultural baggage.
For sure, for sure. Now, imagine you're learning English as a second language.
Okay.
And you come across this list of professions. What do you think you would take away about the culture that it represents?
That's an interesting question. I think you'd probably get the impression that this culture values both creative and technical skills.
Yeah, because you've got
artist, singer, writer.
Alongside engineer, computer programmer.
Exactly, but it does make you wonder, is this a universal balance? Like, would this same list of professions be representative of another culture? Say, a country with a strong focus on agriculture.
Or manufacturing or something like that.
Exactly.
So this simple list of jobs becomes this really interesting window into a culture's values and priorities.
Absolutely.
So stepping back from this particular video then, what do you think is the big takeaway for our listeners today?
I think it's a reminder that even the most ordinary things can offer really profound insights if we just take a moment to examine them. I mean, this video wasn't meant to be a sociological study.
Right.
But it inadvertently reveals so much about our world.
Yeah, about how our world is changing.
Exactly. From economic trends to social norms, it's all there.
It really is all about perspective, isn't it?
It really is.
So here's a thought-provoking question for everyone listening at home. If you're making a list of jobs to introduce someone to your culture, what would you include? And more importantly, why? What about those jobs said something essential about the place where you come from? It's a fun little exercise, and I think it can reveal a lot about your own values and how you see the world. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.